strategies. But for this channel, but the reality is that I've been I've been through hell in many different ways, and I thought, well, I keep getting dreams and having spirit talking to me and telling me, screaming at me, actually, to make videos. And I keep thinking, okay, is that for business? Is that, I mean, what are my videos supposed to be about? And I've really felt lost in this exploration of myself because I've made a lot of videos. I sing. I'm a singer. I've gotten back into that after recovering from thymoma cancer. And I was able to sing again. But I've also made videos on business, and I've made videos about spirituality. I've done motivational speaking through my videos. I talk about a lot of different topics, and I've done that on Facebook and within my groups and on my pages, but I've never actually made a video or dedicated a series of videos to me, what I've gone through. And I think that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know why, and maybe nobody will even watch these, but in the event that somebody does, I'm going to talk about who I am, how I have been able to overcome a lot of the obstacles that I have faced in my life right up until now, and what I do, and how I've connected to who I am. And I'm a very spiritual person. I was raised a Catholic. I was converted to a born-again Christian back in 2009 with my very narcissistic ex-husband, and learning many of the different aspects and elements and convoluted way of thinking. No offense to any Christians out there. Trust me, I love the Lord. But there's a lot of a lot of limiting ideologies when it comes to Christianity, and I knew that they were wrong. They just didn't fit the equation of what I know God says to me and many other people about being connected to Source, being connected to who we are, as human beings, and understanding what that relationship looks like. And I've always had a very, very personal connection spiritually to God. Love the Lord, love Lord Jesus Christ. But for me, it's always been a very different aspect of spirituality that I resonate with and connect to. So just to get that out of the way. I am a spiritual empath. Everybody says psychic empath. I don't know. I think we all have the ability to feel energy and hear what God is telling us to do. Listening. Excuse me. You're going to hear this a lot. I will be coughing a lot. I'm recovering from cancer from last year, and throughout the course of recovering from cancer and right up until now, there's been more stress than any human being needs to go through. And I don't want to speak it into existence, but my body is telling me that there's something wrong. So right now, getting that checked out, and if there is something wrong, which I highly suspect, then I'll be going through that process again too. So anyway, who am I? Well, Tristan Bliss, I was born in Toronto, Ontario, uh, raised in a very Irish Catholic, alcoholic family dynamic, which has been highly dysfunctional. And I speak quite a bit about this. I've written a book. I'm the author of Your Childhood Zillionaire, um, as well as another book that I wrote for victims of domestic violence and abuse called Financial Feathers from Heaven: How to Rebound from Trauma to Personal Abundance, Financial and Personal Abundance. So I've really documented a lot of what I've experienced in my life, my own struggles, but my own victories as well. I don't count myself as a victim. I've stepped out of that mindset a long time ago. And I realized the dangerous pattern that can happen when you sit in that victimhood mentality. And I made a very conscious decision many years ago when my children were very young that I was not going to be a victim. I was not going to allow it to take over who I am, how I think, and how I view the world, and what I want to be able to not only accomplish, but what I want to teach my children, and what I want to be able to contribute to this world with. And you can't contribute if you're in a victim mindset. So I've taken the opposite approach, and I've been a huge advocate for stepping into your own personal power, owning that, and not walking in a sense of fear, but walking in a sense of faith. And I can tell you, it's not an easy thing to do. The words are easy to say, but the reality of doing that, it's very challenging. But it has to be a mindful application, a mindful practice every day. And that's what I do. So here I am. I am going to be making this series of videos because I think that this is what I've been guided to do, is talk about my own journey. And I've been a business owner for a long time. I have had epic fails in my businesses, but I've also had great successes. And but you know, everything kind of comes, from me anyway, I can't say this for everybody, but for me, they seem to come in their own season. And sometimes those seasons can be really spread out. So it becomes overwhelming for sure when you're passionate, you're committed, you're building things that you think are going to benefit the world, and then you just don't have an audience. And it's ironic, actually, because I have a marketing company. You'd think I know how to do all of these things, and I do. But yesterday I actually spoke about this too. It's like the carpenter builds beautiful homes for everybody else, but they live in a shack. Their house is falling apart. It's kind of the same thing for me. I'm great at telling people and putting things together for everybody else, but I'm not so good at doing it for myself, nor am I even very good at hiring people to help me do it. That's been an epic fail several times now over the past couple of years, and very disheartening, because I see what needs to be out there. I know what I need to do, but I get very discouraged when I don't have all of the answers, and I'm trying to always figure things out, and it just feels like I'm on a hamster wheel. But anyway, that's business. I don't really want to talk about business here, but that's just kind of a part of my journey that obviously, you know, is something that I live with every single day. But why I want to make this series of videos, and I hope that it's going to be beneficial to somebody out there. Back in 2016, I lost my best friend she was 49 years old. She died of a heart attack. And I knew that she was dying. My mother at that very time was in the hospital here in Kingston, Ontario, where I live now. But at the time, I had never been here before. Very first time I had ever been to this place. But I had to come here to Kingston because my mother had a heart attack at the same time that my best friend, Heather, was in severe decline. She had had heart problems from her early 30s and had a heart bypass surgery. Actually, she had an artificial valve put in her heart when she was in her 30s, right after her having her children. And so she had always been in a lot of medical distress. A lot of different things were happening with her body. And it was because, her heart was failing. Now, when you know that somebody who you love so much, who is so close to you, is sick or is dying, and you just can't bear the thought of having them leave this earth and no longer be with you, it's something that we all go into denial about. And obviously I was in denial about it very strongly. But the reality of her condition overwhelmed us, and August 19th, 2016, she passed away. When I got the news of her passing, something so dramatic happened to me, and I still get emotional about it because she was everything. She was everything to me. And when I got the phone call that she had passed, I let out a scream and I collapsed to the ground. But it was something unearthly that came out of me, and to this day, I can't imagine what that would have sounded like. My son was there. He was only a little at the time. He was 8. My husband at the time, he's now my ex-husband, or soon to be my ex-husband. We're hopefully going to be finalizing this divorce this summer. Thank God. But just, it took everybody off guard. The sound that came out of me was something that was not even of this world. And when I went outside, I had to sit outside in the backyard, and I was crying so hard. And I looked up into the sky, and I was talking to Heather, and it was a clear night. But then all of a sudden there was this big formation of clouds that kind of came over the house, and they were moving, relatively slow. And the clouds started changing, and I thought I was going crazy, or I thought I was imagining things, but then I wasn't. And the clouds changed into a beautiful picture, like a beautiful image of a prancing horse, a horse that was running free. And you could see the mane, the hair of the mane flowing back. You could see the beautiful head held high as it was running. And I was absolutely I stopped crying. I was in absolute awe. And I couldn't take my eyes off of this image. And I said, Heather, is that you? And then as soon as I said that, the clouds transformed from the prancing house, or prancing horse rather, house, the prancing horse into an exact image of a dog, a golden retriever. Her name was Aspen, and this dog loved Heather, but the dog had passed away a year or two prior to Heather's death. And the cloud turned into Aspen's face, looked like a picture of Aspen. And then it turned into a great big huge floppy-eared bunny. And I started laughing. And I said, Heather, that is you. And then as soon as I said that, it evaporated and it just broke apart, and I knew she was free. I knew she was being her free spirited self, and she was everywhere. Her departure from this earth, it was almost like she had given me some kind of really deep connected gift that I had been missing for a long time. And it's unfortunate that her passing is what triggered this, but a lot of times they say that through trauma, through a sudden death, that we awaken spiritually, and that's what happened to me. From the day that she died. And I haven't really spoke about this in a very long time. I've kept a lot of this buried. So excuse me for being so emotional. But that was the beginning of my awakening, was when Heather passed away. And I didn't realize what would start taking place in my life from that day on. But the journey that I've been on since her passing has been profound. It has led me in a very different direction in life, and I'm grateful for that. It helped me escape from a very, very abusive marriage that almost destroyed me and my children. And I've just had a series of continual awakenings since Heather's passing. One of the first things that started happening, and I've always been very aware of number sequences, the power of numbers, but could never really understand what that pattern meant in my life until right after her passing. My birthday is July 23rd. I'm a Leo. And from the day that she died, she started showing me the number 23 everywhere. And I couldn't even, I mean, you just can't fake this stuff. It was about 2 weeks after she passed, I started seeing the number 23 randomly. And I thought, this is really strange. Why am I seeing the number 23 everywhere? And I started looking it up. I thought, okay, maybe there's, is this Heather? What's going on? Why am I getting this signaling? Why am I seeing the number 23 everywhere? Because I had never seen, although it's my birthday number, but I had never seen the number before. And she started showing me this number. And I realized that the day that we had her celebration of life, the ceremony for her, we didn't have a burial, we didn't have a cremation. we could only have a celebration of life. Heather had donated her body to science after her death, so that she could continue contributing to heart research. And God bless her for that. But we didn't have her to bury, or no markers of her other than her memory. And the day that we had that celebration, it was on August 23rd. And I didn't even realize that because I was in such a fog. The whole thing was so traumatic, and I was coordinating and taking care of all of the arrangements and doing everything for her. So I didn't, realize the date until months and months later, I think almost a year later. But nonetheless, it meant something to her. And she kept showing me from that day on the number 23. And my son was in the car with me. We were driving around to different dealerships. I was helping my son find a new car. And we were in Mississauga driving around, and I said to him, I'm seeing the number 23 everywhere. It's like crazy. And he started recognizing it too, because everywhere we looked, the number 23 was there. And he said, wow, Mom, this is getting really weird. Like, I'm seeing it like everywhere too. Like, what is going on? I said, I don't know. I said, I think it's Heather. I think she's giving me a sign. And we had to take a detour because the highway, there was an accident or something on the highway. It was backed right up. So we didn't even, we took a detour off the highway and went through a smaller town, trying to kind of zigzag our way back home. And right after we had turned off the highway, we came down this incline, down this hill, and right at the bottom of the hill, there was stoplights there, but on the side of the road, there was this great big fire station with the number 23. No other number, just 23 on the side of the fire station house. And both of us just were like, what the hell? It blew us away. We just couldn't believe what we were seeing. And it was clearly Heather, making me go down that detour. And I don't know how they do it in the spirit world. I know they've got powers beyond our understanding, abilities that we couldn't even possibly comprehend. But she was able to do all of these things after her passing, and I was in awe of the freedom and that she has now. And understanding it then, it was very, very hard for me to wrap my head around. But that has led me down this path of spiritual awakening and growth that I had been afraid of most of my life. And I think a lot of us who have spiritual gifts, we know that we do, but we suppress them because of fear. And especially if you've been raised in Catholicism or Christianity, we're taught that we're not supposed to have abilities that, are supernatural, but we all have them. And we calcify them. We suppress them as we're growing through these stages of life. But I've been awakened now, and I'm still going through this process of awakening. I'm probably I know I'm not even close to where a lot of people are in their journey of enlightenment or awakened. But I'm getting there. And that's what this series of videos is going to be about. I think that this is what I'm supposed to be here to talk about. And shortly after Heather's death, I started dreaming about her. She would visit me. And when I would have these visitations, the dreams were like movies. Everything is in color. Everything is sequential. I could document it like a book, and it makes sense. It's not broken up and scattered. But she helped me through the first year of my grief, and she spent a lot of time helping me. And ironically, she hasn't been back to have any visitations with me for quite a while. And I think the reason why that happens, and I've heard other psychics who are psychic mediums, they communicate with the dead, which I do as well now. But spirits have a mission where they can't interfere too deeply in our lives. And they have to allow us that space to be able to grieve and move past the grief and start living. And this is what she asked of me. She showed me different places that we had been and said I needed to start living again. I needed to start enjoying life again. But the grief was still so overwhelming. I couldn't. And even now, I still have a hard time with that. And she passed in 2016, and we're now in 2023. I still find it very hard. So we're coming up on 7 years since she's passed, and I find that hard to believe, but yeah, 7 years. So I really hope that through my journey that I'm going to start documenting and walking through and sharing with the world, or a handful of you, but putting on a brave enough face to actually be this personal. So I hope that you can resonate with what I'm going to be talking about here. I will probably do some tarot and maybe many of these videos, or maybe none of them. I don't know. I've been having actually a hard time myself even getting back into the tarot, just simply because I've been experiencing a lot of disconnect spiritually, and I think that's why I've been told so often in my dreams, in my in my waking life, do videos. I keep hearing that from spirit constantly, and now it's getting to the point where I think they're getting upset with me because I've had a lot of blockages, and I've had a lot of attacks, and spiritual attacks from people in my that I trusted, my own family members, attacks physically. So I think now it's time. And when Spirit tells us to do something, we better listen. So now I'm listening. So I would like for you to please share your stories with me. I would love to hear your comments. And if anything that I'm saying resonates with you, please don't be afraid to leave your story in the comments below. I would love to connect with you and hear what your own personal journey is. And I would like for you to subscribe, please, because I've got 0 subscribers. This is my very first video on this channel, and it's going to be dedicated solely to connecting with spirit, connecting with source, identifying that in yourself, understanding what your true gifts are, and recognizing when you're being given a sign through the universe, through God, and how to evolve in this journey, in this mission of life. And I certainly am no pro at it, but I could only share with you what I know. And I know that there's a lot of people who are probably in the same boat as me, and maybe this could become our community. So please like and subscribe and share this video with somebody that you feel connected to, or maybe somebody who needs to hear this message of dealing with the afterlife after when you're dealing with grief. So God bless you, and thank you for watching. Till next time.